Attention! The National Weather Service has issued a hurricane warning for the entirety of the National Hockey League. Please stay tuned for further information from the Storm Cellar.
Welcome back to the Storm Cellar, round 2, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to round 2. Unless you're Winnipeg and St. Louis, in which case, figure it out, boys.
Man, how
What's going on in Winnipeg, Ray? My goodness.
Connor Hellebuck is what's going on. I don't understand that series should be over, with all due respect to St. Louis, who has Binnington, who has played very, very well, but it's as though the Jets just, Hellebuck allows a goal and suddenly the team in front of him disappears. And I can't explain it. Watching that thumping that they received in St. Louis, and the goals just kept coming, and I was like, call a timeout, do something,
Right?
shake these guys out of it. It's so funny the way teams are and coaches are. It's like they're storing that timeout for the third period. Well, you're not going to get to the third period if your team is so shook up that you're allowing 4 goals in 5 minutes.
Like Gollum with the ring. Like, my precious.
Yeah.
Like, no, it's just a timeout. Just use it. It's fine. Like, you're not going to use it 95% of games. So just use it.
So, yeah. And of course, because that one goes 7, just the way last night's game went, series went 7, it kind of pushed everyone else's games back. And actually, I don't mind that. It gives the Hurricanes more chance to rest, more specifically Freddie Andersen, who incidentally signed a new contract. There's lots to talk about for the Canes, but we're going to save that. We want to go over the league. Brad, what did you think of, and sadly, we don't have a guest today, so you're stuck with us, but you know what? I think we've done okay with the breakdowns of the games previous, so we'll take a look at what we're seeing now. Let's talk Stars Avs, because I think we have the most invested in that one. When McKinnon scored that goal on the delayed power play, I honestly believed that game was over. It was 2-0.
Right.
And the Avs looked great. And then Mikko Rantanen decided to show up. And he actually did something that I believe is a record. Most points in a third period in the NHL playoffs. He had 4, 3 goals and an assist. And it was just stunning how quickly it happened. I wanted to get your take. I mean, this is what Dallas wanted when they got Rantanen, who wasn't really around for the rest of the series, except for the last 2 games. In the last 2 games, he showed up, and showed up big. So,
Yeah.
what's your take in this?
Well, to start, the NHL.com front page today says Rantanen's revenge. What revenge? He left the Avs. Like, they didn't dump him. Like, he left the Avs. Why? How is that revenge? I don't. Anyway, that's just me being reading the headline and going, that makes 0 sense.
Yeah.
Rantanen, obviously, the dude can play, and the question is, can he play without McKinnon? Looks like he can if he's invested. But
Yeah.
I'm going to give him the same treatment I gave Marty Necas back in the day. One game does not a playoff series make. One game does not a
Yeah.
playoff year make. Like, I'm great. He went and got a hat trick. Awesome. He's been really quiet the other 6 games for the most part.
Yeah.
So I think he had one other decent game. So 2 out of 5 games he came to play. That's that's unimpressive to me. Sorry. And that's not me being petty. It's just, if he continues this into the next round and is continuing to contribute, great. But if you're going to get a hat trick, you know, and that's going to boost your points per game numbers, and then the other 4 or 5 games of the series you do nothing, then you're not really helping. You helped in the one game, and it looks good on the
Yeah.
stat sheet. That's not getting wins. The big thing to me is, just to keep it short, the
Yeah.
Avalanche scored first in 6 of the 7 games. In fact,
Yeah.
they scored 2 goals first, I think, in 3 of the 7 games, and
Yeah.
still managed to lose the series. So you can't go out to a 2-0 lead and then lose game 6 7-4. I'm sorry, they won 7-4 in game 6. But in
Yeah.
game 7, you can't go up 2-0 and then lose, giving up 4 in a row. I mean,
And that all in the third period. Elliot Friedman said something yesterday after the game. Rantanen's contract really doesn't kick in until the end of this season, until afterwards. And the comment was his performance in Game 7 is what verifies and supports the amount of money that he's going to make. Just that performance alone. And
that's a lot
it's
of
kind of
money to
hard.
win a round one playoff game.
Yeah, I mean it is, but I mean you got to give the guy credit. It was exciting.
Oh yeah,
Um,
great performance. I'm just saying, before everybody gets on the Miko is back. Miko is
yeah,
is a hockey top 3 guy again. Like, see what
yeah,
he does in
for
round 2.
sure. Um, then let's take a look. Edmonton and the Kings. And we've said it every year. Uh, the Kings, there's something that they just can't get over. And honestly, the way they played in the first 2 games, the Oilers were just horrendous. More specifically, their goaltending was horrific. And the Kings were just on fire. And they actually had the opportunity to put them away and cratered. And it was a reverse sweep. How does that? I mean, that just says clearly that the Oilers are in the Kings' head. And heaven forbid that they meet again next year because we've had enough. But it doesn't matter. If those two ever meet in the playoffs, bet on the Oilers. I mean, this was the Kings' opportunity to get revenge for the other times, and they blew it. And there's no explanation why. None.
No, when you take a 2-0 series lead and lose in 6 games, holy smokes!
Yeah.
And for me, game 4 was like the pivotal game. That's when I'm like, okay, they're toast, because I picked the Kings. I'm like, the Kings are going to get over the hump. They're going to beat the Oilers for once.
Yeah.
In game 6, I'm sorry, game 4, they go up 2-0, thanks
Hmm.
to former Kane Warren Fogle. And Corey Perry scores. All right, Kevin Fiala gets that one back, and you're up by 2 goals going into
Yep.
the third. And then you give up with 29 seconds to go. You give up the game tying goal, and then you give it
And
up in OT. Very Kane's-esque, right? You cannot give up the game tying goal with 30 seconds to go. You just can't. I mean, I understand it. People pull goalies at 6-on-5 and all those things. You just can't. That's
and and actually in one of those games, a goal was scored, and for some unknown reason, Kings coach decides to challenge, which ended up
Yeah.
being a penalty that the Oilers scored in 7 seconds
Yeah, that's
of the
another one.
power play. And there was nothing there. They had no hope
Right. That's
of,
you challenge that in the playoffs if you are 100% sure you're right.
yeah. And it was so wrong. I was like, why are you even thinking about just, yes, you gave up a goal. Just get back on the horse. Don't
Yeah.
challenge it and make it worse, especially against the Oilers.
Right. My knock on the Oilers real quick has always been they don't have real good defense. And they don't have a good goaltender. And if you look at the scores, yeah, 6-5, 6-2, 7-4, 4-3, 3-1, 4-6.
Yeah.
I've had people like, hey, wouldn't it be cool to have another Oilers Canes final? Absolutely, because they're not
Yeah.
scoring six. And
No,
in a low scoring game, they're not going to win. I don't
that's
believe it. So,
that's exactly it. Vegas against Minnesota. Man, I thought Minnesota was going to be able to come through on this one. Um, I don't even know how to explain it. Uh, Vegas just, there's the acumen that they have from the past. And I think that those experiences are what the difference was in that series because Minnesota looked pretty good in it, but in the end, they just couldn't get over the hump.
yeah, this was the series I saw the least of. And I think I picked Vegas in my bracket,
Yeah.
but it's a division winner versus a wild card. Like Vegas should win, and they won 4-2, and I think Minnesota put up a good effort. But I mean, Vegas to me just was the better. You know what I mean? Like the
Yeah.
expectation was they're going to be the better team, and they're going to find a way to win. They For a young team, Vegas has a lot of guys who have playoff experience and know what it's going to take. So
Um, we'll move along. The team that's going to have to take on Edmonton, I believe, or is it
no,
Edmonton versus Dallas?
Edmonton's Vegas, and
Edmonton is
Dallas is
Vegas.
playing
That's right.
to be determined right now.
So, who do you got tonight?
Winnipeg should win,
Yeah.
but that doesn't mean anything. I think Hellebuck's it, and I think they do get the win tonight,
Hmm.
but I don't think it's going to be pretty. Like this, I think this could easily be an overT, two OT kind of game. So, but I mean, I don't like St. Louis, but they don't give up, man. You got to give them
No.
credit, right? They should not be in this position, and they are. And that's as much
If,
about their play as Winnipeg's play. So, but Winnipeg, I
yeah.
think I think they were good enough. I think that I think Connor Hellebuck is going to be Connor Hellebuck, and they're gonna shut him down, and they're gonna win by a goal. So
It's funny you say Connor Hellebuck is Connor Hellebuck, but this isn't the regular season. And in the playoffs, he's proven that he's fragile a little bit. And to his credit, when he's talked to the media, he's owned he's owned his failures is a strong word, but he's owned his foibles, I guess. And he says, I got to find a way to be better. I got to find and that's just all there is. And I appreciate that. It shows his competitiveness. He knows what's on him. I think being in that sea of white in Winnipeg will help because they are going to be loud and it's going to be a different experience than what it was in St. Louis. I think I would pick I think I would pick the Jets, but I put a caveat on it. The Jets will win if they score first.
yeah,
If they score first. If they
keep the
don't
crowd in it.
score first and have to start chasing the game, that's a little different.
Yeah, Hellebuck gives up almost a goal, an extra goal per game in the playoffs over the last 5 years. That's
Yikes.
a lot.
That is a lot.
And I'm with you. For a franchise who, even when they're winning and is having attendance problems, like they need this, like just
Oh,
generally speaking.
in a big, big way. Yeah, they need to get to the next round. Um, Over in the East, uh, how about that Florida Tampa series? I mean, so physical. And I really expected more out of Tampa. Like Vasilevsky is a fantastic netminder, as is Bobrovsky. But this just, I think Tampa kind of fell into a bit of a trap where the game turned physical, and that's Florida's game. If they play especially physical, and you know, Tampa just played the wrong style, I guess, and they tried to be equally physical, and there were huge mistakes, and that was the difference, and Florida just overran them. I expected that one to be a lot longer, and I expected Tampa to look better in the mix, and they just didn't. I don't
I
know where.
mean, one of the dirtiest series so far too. I mean, they were throwing cheap shots back and forth. There should have been
Oh,
more suspensions from that series than there was. For me, it's about three key guys: Jake Gensel, Nikita Kucherov, Victor Hedman, and Braden
yeah,
Point. So three of those guys I've had on my fantasy team, which just won me another fantasy title.
not a boy.
Nikita Kucherov, now apparently he had a bum hand, but no goals, zero
Yeah,
goals in the postseason, right? Victor Hedman, no goals, and a -6 with his 3 points.
oof,
Braden Point had 2 goals and was a -1. Jake Gensel actually put up some points. He put up 6 total points. It was still a -3. So I think they are finally to a point where Vasilevsky, as good as he is, who's stopping things in front of him, right? They're just
yeah,
I I mean, they won what, 3 cups? I mean, it's time for them to be getting old and sinking back into the quagmire, and that's what they're doing. They don't have a first round pick for like 4 years.
yeah,
So, and if other GMs would stop taking their bad contracts, they wouldn't have even made the playoffs this year, but
yeah.
other
That's a
GMs
good
keep
point.
bailing them out because they keep signing these ridiculous contracts. So I think this is just you set yourself up, you win your cups, and at the expense of your future, and it's now it's find out time. So
Yeah.
yeah, I did think this was going longer, but I thought Florida was going to win this one.
And then the Battle of Ontario did not look like it was going to be much of a battle. I mean, Toronto goes out and they have the opportunity for a sweep. And the Senators are on their heels. And then they win, I believe it was in overtime in game four.
Yeah,
And Brady Kachuk is like, we are coming back here. And they absolutely did 4-0 in Toronto. And Mr. Dangle was beside himself.
that's pretty funny. Not
And
David Ayer's funny, but it's funny.
yeah, I mean, it was it, and there was a lot of tight feelings in this one because I'm telling you right now, if Ottawa wins game six, Ottawa would have won game seven.
I think so too. I either one of them, either the Leafs win in 6, or if it goes to 7, the Senators have to win just for the memes because that'd have been hilarious.
Yeah. Yeah. I
But like
honestly
don't
believe that.
don't let the Leafs win a game 7. Like that's what I don't want. I want that almost as much as I don't want them to win a cup for a while.
Yeah, no
another
question.
while. So yeah, I mean, I thought the Senators were outmatched. I thought they played really well. So
Yeah,
they were able to, they were just, take a couple of games. They didn't get swept. They put up a good fight, and for the first time back in the playoffs in what was it, like 8 years, like good for
yeah.
them.
Six
Now
games against the Leafs. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, some of this is going to be like new ownership, the whole shebang bounce back. So I'm interested to see where they land next year. Like they do
Yeah.
have a bright future. I think they're going to be fine, but I am interested to actually see how it plays out.
And Allmark was pretty fantastic in some of those games. He was terrific. So they've got the right goaltending to
The
be sure.
Bruins are still like have to be reeling that they kept Sway over
Yeah,
Allmark. I mean, no offense to Sway, but he was not good this year.
no, not at all. Uh, and our second round opponents, the Caps against the team that shall not be named. I didn't even expect them to win one game uh, against the Caps. There was just too much. And this is another one that got really physical, really crazy physical. This is the one with the fight on the bench that was just nuts. It was just nuts. And if Montreal was able to play a slower, this is another trap one where the Caps just decided we're going to be more physical. We're going to hit more. We're going to be as nasty as we always are. And that's the Caps. Like they are nasty to play against. And I think, and the injury to Montembeault was a difference too. Um,
Yeah,
Logan Thompson was able to come back from that crazy getting running over. Montembeault hurt, couldn't come back in, and that's just too much to put on the backup goaltender. It's just too much.
yeah. I mean, the Capitals should have won the series. They did win the series. I was hoping Montreal would put up more of a fight, but this is another one. Like Montreal decided to play rough and tumble hockey with Washington, which is not really Washington's game. People will be like, "Oh, Tom Wilson." Like I said, Tom Wilson. He's an NHL. Wannabe tough guy. I don't think we're going to see as much of that. I know that's the worry, people, and I do worry about cheap hits from guys like Wilson, like that I do. But
Yeah.
the Canes are, we know they're not going to retaliate. We know they're going to try and just play their game. And the reality is that Washington is a much older team.
Yep.
They rely really heavily on a handful of guys to put up points, and we have the defense to shut them down. So for me, to kind of lead into Canes Caps just a little bit, I mean, it's going to be stay out of the box.
Yeah.
If you keep them off the power play, I think you win the series. If you're giving Ovi 3 or 4 chances a game to stand there and fire it into the net, well, that's a different story. So
It totally is. Um, do you want to dive into the Canes Caps now?
yeah, let's do that first.
Because I mean, to me, this is the history, okay? Um, much like in 2019, the home team won every game except game 7 in 2019. Every home game. That was also the case this regular season. Home ice matters. And so the Canes find themselves in the precarious situation where they're going to have to steal one away. I would prefer they do that before game 7, but it's going to be tough. It's going to be a slog. The goaltending, Freddie's played 2 against them, a win and a loss. Kochetkov, the same, a win and a loss. They actually have overall To me, they have the overall advantage in net, especially with Freddie if he can remain healthy. That's a big if. If he can remain healthy, because you know the Caps are crashing the net. And that's make no mistake, that's coming. Guys like Wilson, guys like Eller, they're going to go hard to the net all the time, and any sort of disturbance that they can do is going to be huge. You know, the one thing that stuck out to me in looking at this, first of all, the Caps gave up quite a few power play goals to the team that shall not be named. They did they did their penalty kill did not look great.
No, it was
And
pretty
we're
bad.
seeing a difference in the Canes. 5 out of 16 is at a pretty darn good clip. And they were as you said, 106% net, 110% net.
106.7, sir. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, this is where I think this series is won and lost to special teams.
for sure.
Carolina is putting up 3.8 goals for game played. So they're averaging 3.8 goals per game. Caps
Yeah,
3.6. It's pretty close.
it is.
Canes are giving up 2.2, Caps are giving up 2.4. So both of those numbers skew the Canes way a little bit.
Yep.
The difference is on special teams. Carolina's power plays at 31.6%. That's huge for them. They really need that to continue, if at all
Yes.
possible. Capitals are at 23.1, which is very respectable. But, and that's where to me the danger lies. On the penalty kill, yeah, the Canes are at 106.7, right? They scored one shorthanded, gave up no goals. Washington, their penalty kill is at 66.7%. So they killed roughly 2/3, which means the opportunities will be there for the Hurricanes. They
Yeah.
need to capitalize, get it capitalized.
I like that. Well played. I see what you did there.
So, yeah, and to your other point in terms of them crashing the goalie, I hope that the Hurricanes have talked to the league and been like, this cannot happen. Like what Timo Meyer got away with cannot happen again, because the Capitals will 100% use that.
Yeah.
I mean, Strome took out his own goalie. I mean, if Strome's willing to run his own guy, then Freddie's got no chance. So the league has to, in my opinion, be aware of that
Yeah.
and call the penalties. And a little bit of a tangent. One of the rule changes I think needs to be instituted. I hate the fact that if you call a major and you review it, it's either a major or a nothing.
Yeah.
It's such an arbitrary, meaningless way to do it. If you call a major, and you review it and go, well, that's not a major, but it definitely is a penalty. Why does that player get off scot-free? You should be able to change a major to a double minor or a minor depending on the severity of the contact or the injury.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
Exactly.
such an arbitrary. Well, yes, there's a penalty there, but it's not a major, so he's just going to get away with it. It's such a NHL thing to do, and I just think it's ridiculous.
Yeah, you can't. I mean, that's what's funny. If it's serious enough that it even enters your mind that it was 5 minutes worth, then it's at
Right.
least two.
It's, I mean, way off base. Attempted murder has a lesser charge than murder. It's like, I always thought it was funny. I'm like, why? Because you're like a poor shot, or you
Yeah.
missed. That's so the intent was the same. The fact that you missed means it's not as serious of a crime. It seems kind of weird.
Yeah. It's
Anyway,
it's going to be crazy. This is something that might surprise you, and it probably depends a little bit on the teams that were involved in the first round. Is the Canes actually out-hit the Caps in the first? There were more hits, and Aho was number 5. He threw 17 hits in the series against the Devils. Now, you expected that because they were coming in hard on a D that was depleted. And so you knew the hits were coming. But like I've never thought of the Hurricanes as a hitting team. You know what I mean? They are a grinding team. They like to battle on the boards. They like to win that way. Uh, but not the hits. And this is a good sign. I mean, this is I like the idea of, as we put it, an angry fish is a scary one. Angry fishy can turn a game around in a heartbeat. And the lines have been great. The way the setup is, the lines have been great. And I think, to me, the key in this one, it'll probably come down to one person, not goaltending. I think Svechnikov is the key. I think that if he can continue on the pace of scoring and the pace of threat to score, he had so many opportunities. I mean, he was just near the net and he was really taking it to the opposition. And Markstrom is no slouch. And Svetch was in his head. Maybe he's in the mood to get into Logan Thompson's head or Lindgren's. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think Svech will be a big part of it for the Hurricanes. The other one there, I think, is going to be there's two really, and they're both young guys, right? Jarvis and Blake both had
Mhm.
excellent series in the first round, and I really think how those younger guys. I'm also going to throw out Stinkoven in there. How those guys battle against their counterparts, I think, is going to be a big to do, right?
Yeah.
Washington's big point getters in round one were Dylan Strome, Alex
Yeah.
Ovechkin, and I forgot who the third guy was. And
The
yeah,
usual
Connor
suspects.
McMichael,
Right.
right? Those guys generated the majority of the offense for Washington. So that's all top six right there, right? And we
Yeah.
know that the Hurricanes really bested the New Jersey Devils with the bottom six. I mean, other than Svechnikov's hat trick.
Yeah.
So for me, it's going to be about not so much, and granted, now Jarvis and Blake are top six guys, right? So if they
Sure.
can hold their own against the Capitals' top six, and then you get, Stankoven and some of those guys, Robinson and KK and whomever, coming in from the bottom six to lend some scoring, you're going to be in really good shape. I feel good. I don't think this is a slam dunk. I think this one's going six. I think the Hurricanes are going to steal one in Washington, and then we'll see how it goes. But you only had three players in the first round that didn't register a point: Stahl, Carey, and Walker. You know, and
Wow.
of those, only Stahl was a negative, and he was only a negative one. So everybody else got at least a point. So
That's
I would like to see Jankowski draw in for Roslovic again,
yeah.
because I think you're going to want the size in this matchup. Because this is a real series. No offense to New Jersey, but I think that was pretty much decided before it started. This one isn't. I think that to me the Hurricanes are favored. I mean, nationally they're favored. I think that they should win this one because I
Yeah.
think they just have more of a team top to bottom than Washington does. But it's not going to be easy. So
No, not at all. I'm going, and it sounds homerish or whatever. I'm going Canes in seven, but I think it's going to be seven. They are just so tightly matched everywhere. Um, it's the special teams, like you said, special teams, I think will be the difference. And if I mean, if we can get more of the penalty kill that ends up scoring shorties, I mean, that's just going to, those kind of goals are going to be huge. And one thing in the regular season, Logan Thompson in net has not been great against the Canes. The Canes kind of have his number specifically. Lindgren, on the other hand, has played much better against the Canes, which makes me wonder who's going to get the start here. I mean, I believe they're going with Thompson, but if you look back and say about the history and so forth, the Canes have done much better against Thompson than they have Lindgren. So something to think about for the Caps. Of course, Andersen, just be healthy because he's on top of his game, and
Mhm.
that's why he was re-signed to in the playoffs. It's funny. We've had two playoff signings, Taylor Hall and now Freddie Andersen. And can you blame Eric for signing him? I mean, I can't because when you look when you there's a lot of people and I'm seeing on social media where why the heck are they signing him? Well, that's a pretty easy answer for that because this year, who is out there as a goaltender that you'd be better off with than Freddie? There isn't.
Yeah, that's really, when I saw the re-signing, I kind of put the like no expression emoji,
Yeah.
and it wasn't meant to be a pejorative. It was just okay. Looking at available UFAs, is there anybody better than Freddie Andersen on the market? The answer is no. One
Yeah.
year, it's 2.75 million plus 750,000, I think, in bonuses
Hmm.
for playing, like for being not injured. And the money was irrelevant to me.
Yeah.
I still think that I don't think this means that they're not going to make a move for a goalie. I think I think this sets you up, and Hurricanes fans won't like this, but this might set you up to trade Piotr away for a number one
Ooh.
and then fill in next year because Anderson will be off his deal. I mean, it could be Anderson too. Somebody might say, "Hey, we want a goalie who's going to be, who we can rely on just for the playoffs," and maybe it's Anderson. So I don't know. Watching the way they've used Piotr lately, maybe I'm reading too much into it, but I feel like they've lost a little confidence in him, as I think he's lost some confidence in himself. I think he needs to get that back.
Yeah.
So if Anderson can play round two the way he played round one,
Oof.
this series is a lot, I don't want to say easier, but this series is much more favorable to the Hurricanes
Yeah.
because he was the best goaltender in round one by no small margin. I mean,
Yeah.
this is the Freddie that you signed him for originally. This is the I'm on a mission Freddie that you wanted to get when you got him out of Toronto. So
Yeah.
yeah. So I'm definitely looking forward to this one. And it's once again, I think it's special teams. And the other thing I'd throw in there just real quick is special teams goaltending face-offs.
Oh
Both the
yeah.
Hurricanes and the Capitals were just under 49% face-offs
Yep.
in round one. You got to do better. You need to be winning 52, 53% or better on faceoffs. If you can do that, particularly those key faceoffs, particularly in the defensive zone, you're in much better shape. So,
That's such a good point. The Hurricanes are a puck possession team, and when they do well, it's because they're winning the faceoffs. You win the faceoffs, you win the draws, you have control of the puck, you dictate the play. And yeah, I mean, aside from the giveaways that burn you every now and again, um, just dominating in the faceoff circle is going to be everything for the Canes, who, like I said, are a puck control team, and wearing them down too. It's so funny. The second periods, everyone talks about how it's so difficult because it's the long change. And it's right in Carolina's wheelhouse because
Yeah.
when they get that forecheck going, they're right there. I
Right.
mean, it plays to their strength. So
I worry about the second period more or not so much the second period. I worry more about matchups than I do about the long change, just generally speaking.
yeah,
You know what I mean? I mean, that's more of a home and away thing than a period based thing. But like you said, the Hurricanes, when they're on, oh, yeah, the bench is right there. It's fine. So
yeah,
my concern in terms of those types of things is going to be home and away is getting the matchups that you want. The good news is all of our defensemen played pretty well in the first round. Burns
yeah,
played better. Orlov played better. So I'm more trusting that that will continue. And then for you, Ray, specifically, right? Round two, game one is going to be Tuesday at 6. Oh, I'm sorry, at 7 p.m.
yeah,
Game two is going to be Thursday, the 8th at 7. And then it looks like game four potentially is going to be Monday, May 12th at
yep,
Villanova Center. And you might know where I'm going with this because, in
yes.
theory, I think it's Sunday and Tuesday, Pearl Jam, one of your favorite bands, is playing,
It
which
is my favorite above
which
all.
means sometimes they'll cancel those second shows, like so they don't load, they don't want to unload and roll back in. So sometimes we're going to postpone this show.
Yeah.
But in theory, Eddie Vedder could be a siren sounder for Game Four. I'm just throwing that out there. Like you could have Eddie
Well,
on the siren for Game Four.
whatever they can do, whatever the Canes can do to get him to be the siren sounder, make it happen. That would be that would be a joyous moment in my life, to be sure, and it'd get everyone fired up. I mean, it doesn't matter turning it doesn't matter who's turning the siren, uh, because that building gets fired up no matter what. So I'm kind of looking forward to this one. The Caps want a little bit of revenge for 2019. Um, there's some of the players that were on that team are on this one.
Yeah, I think
Same
it's
goes for the
5.
Canes.
So
Yeah,
it's the good news for the Canes is it's not like half, right? It's like 5 guys.
yeah.
So, but
It's gonna be a good series, and really tight. But I mean, I think 7, you think 6. We both believe the same team's gonna win. Um, the other round two matchups, super quick. Florida over the Leafs in 6.
yeah, I think so too.
Edmonton versus Vegas.
Long Golden Knights.
Vegas has the ability to take them out, and I think that one might end up being in 7 too. The Oilers, you have to say, the reverse sweep will give them nothing but confidence that they have the ability to overcome this. But Vegas has a lot of guys that can put the puck in the net, and their goaltending just can't be trusted. The Oiler goaltending can't be trusted. And that's, the three-legged stool that, you rely on in the playoffs. It's depth
Yeah.
scoring, it's special teams, and it's goaltending. And if you don't have the goaltending, you're not going to win. And I don't know how the Kings managed to blow it because they had them on the ropes.
They really
But
did.
I don't believe that Vegas would let them up. I really don't.
Yeah, I think this might be Edmonton. This is going to be, I think, very different than last year. This is going to be Edmonton's toughest trip towards the finals in a little while, I think.
Yeah.
I think Vegas will win this one in 6 or 7. And then we have the other matchup, and I think the winner of that matchup, regardless of who it is, same thing. I think if you get into a shootout with one of these other teams, I don't know that Edmonton has the defense and the goaltending to play running gun with these boys anymore.
I don't think so. Okay. Does your pick change depending on who Dallas plays?
Maybe a little bit. I think if it's St. Louis, I think I would give the edge to Dallas. If it's Winnipeg, I'm not sure that I change, but I do feel like it's a lot closer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, because Winnipeg has not looked great against St.
No.
Louis.
No.
Dallas is definitely a better team, but that doesn't
Yes.
mean Winnipeg's not capable. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
if Winnipeg plays the way they played the regular season, yeah, I think Winnipeg takes that series against Dallas. But what Winnipeg team shows up? And I think the reality is that Connor Hellebuck is going to settle in at some point. He does have like the he's a little worse in the playoffs knock,
Yeah.
but I mean he played the Four Nations. He's shown that he can thrive under pressure. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I it changes a little bit, but I would say if it's St. Louis, I think Dallas takes that series. If it's Winnipeg, I'm going to give a very slight, maybe game 7 edge to Winnipeg.
And for me, just seeing Dallas, I mean, it's gonna be tough. Ottinger against Hellebuck. Look, the Otter is great, and he made some big saves last night in the third period. That had he allowed that extra goal, that would have made it 3-0. Dallas would have been done. And
Yep.
he came up in the clutch. Hellebuck, I'll just push back a tiny bit for you. I don't think you can reference his play in the Four Nations because Winnipeg, while great, was not Team USA.
This is true. I mean,
And
don't get me. I'm just saying that the pressure of that competition,
oh yes,
he rose to. I mean,
he did.
He did his part.
But Winnipeg doesn't have Slavin. I mean, really,
Truth.
that's it. And Slavin in our series, just jumping back real quick, he's had the most ice time of the team, and that's not going to change. That's not going to change. And Martinook, I'm begging. He's been the guy, he showed it before on the penalty kills. Martinook stays nice and close to that left circle. He becomes a neighbor to Ovechkin, and he's going to have to be because they're going to be setting it up. And that's kind of what, Washington does. You can't really sit on him because they've got a lot of other guys that can score the goals. Suddenly it's 4-on-3, right?
Yeah. But
But
by the same token, but to counter that, Ovechkin is now the greatest goal scorer in NHL history.
yeah,
Make them beat you 4-on-3 without Ovechkin. Because
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong, like Wilson and Strome and Els and like those guys can put the puck in the net,
yeah,
but better than Ovechkin?
no,
No. So sit somebody on Ovechkin and say, okay, one of you has to step up consistently, right?
yeah,
It's one thing to get one power play goal. It's another thing to go through a 7-game series and be the guy because Ovechkin's not getting the puck. They can
yeah,
do it. No, nobody's ever tried.
no,
Nobody's
you're
ever
right.
tried. So make somebody who isn't the greatest goal scorer in NHL history be the shooter.
yeah, yeah. That's a great point.
If Freddie Andersen plays like he played in round 1, I would say, yeah, like Freddie, like we're going to need you to come up big here, but we will shut down Ovechkin. You're going to have to probably steal a couple of saves here
Yeah,
from other guys, but we're going to basically play 4-on-3.
and it's gonna be. I'm really looking forward to this. This is gonna be not just with the Canes, but this is gonna be a great second round. and it only gets tougher from there. I
Hmm.
guess the whole cliche about, the Stanley Cup being the hardest trophy to win, it's true. It just
Yeah, 100%.
there's no, and every round gets harder no matter who you end up playing. Even like I'm going to go to Hellebuck, and the fact that Winnipeg was the President's Trophy winner, I believe they had the most points of anyone. But when you're comparing goaltenders and so forth, the proof is on the ice. Like you've got to, it doesn't matter if you have the advantage by all the numbers, by all the, algorithms and everything that you put out there. You've got to play the games. You've got to play the games and rise to the occasion.
Yep. If you had to pick what's the X factor? What's the one thing the Hurricanes have to do, beat, win, be better at to win the series? Is it special teams? Is it goaltending? Is it face-offs? Is it,
To
scoring
me,
4 goals a game? Is it?
um, it's keep your heads, everyone. Andersen, all the guys. Wilson made a point of going after Fishy all season long. He's going to do everything he can to get into Fishy's head, to remind him that he's out there. There's going to be hits, some of them just on the edge, and maybe well over the edge. And you just cannot get into that type of game with them. I hate them having to turn the other cheek. That drives me nuts, but they're going to have to do it and continue focusing on their game. And they can just grind the Capitals down, just grind them down, skate them under the rink, and really win the battles on the boards, which is about four things that I just said. And you said I only wanted one. But
I'm
I
taking
am
your first one.
loquacious. Yeah, I
That's
am
okay.
loquacious. Just don't fall into that trap.
Play your game is what you're
Play your
saying.
game.
Yeah. For me, it's special teams. If you continue to do well in the power play and you can shut down their power play, you win the series. How
Yeah.
many games? How many games is this one going, Ray?
Oh, it's seven to me. It's just too close to, it's too close to say. Yeah, to me, it's seven.
I'm going 6 for the Hurricanes, mostly because at least one game is going to be a weird game, and the
Yeah.
Hurricanes are going to maybe come back from behind or get an OT win or something that they necessarily shouldn't.
Yeah.
Because I feel like this year, and in general, when these two teams play, there's going to be that Brock McGinn moment somewhere where the Hurricanes are
Yeah.
maybe going to pull out one they shouldn't, and they're going to be able to end this in 6. I mean, so
I could
not from quality
see,
of teams, but just puck luck.
yeah. And I could see a lot of overtimes. I could see a lot
Oh
of
Lord,
hockey played in this one, honestly. Like there could
yeah,
be a lot of overtimes in this one. There's no question. No question. That's going to do it.
yeah.
We've done the deep dive. We've looked at this, you know, so many different ways, so many different stats, but like you said, you got to play the games. And the fact that we have to wait until Tuesday stinks, but that also means that we get a chance to have Eddie Vedder turn that thing. And that just, as a side note, that's almost as important as everything else. So it's going to be fantastic, Brad.
Yeah,
I
it's
really
yeah. I
think
was
so.
hoping that we'd be talking about the game starting in 6 hours or 8 hours or whatever tonight, but 2 more sleeps, as I would tell my kid. Man, I don't like it. I want it to get going. But
yeah,
for the health of the team, Freddie gets a couple more. Everybody gets a couple days. So like rest in the both teams, as I recall, ended their series the same night. So they're both equally rested and equally rusty, if that makes sense. So like, I don't think somebody's not just come out of a 7-game series where somebody else has been out for a week, that kind of thing. So both teams are going to be rested. The Hurricanes are younger. The fact is Ovechkin is getting older. He's still very good, but this is playoffs. This is the grind. So
yeah. And just as a quick note, actually the Canes actually beat the Caps, and the Canes were the first team to punch their ticket. And the Caps did it the very next night, and both of them were 5-game series. That's where the similarities. They were both 5 games.
That's right.
1 day more rest for the Canes.
Yeah, but the wear and tear is somewhat equal, and it's very similar to New Jersey. The bottom 6 in Washington, the bottom pair of defenders not as good. Take it right at them. Like just play your game. If you forecheck the way that you can forecheck, we feel good about this one. So
yes, we do. Can't wait for it. Brett, are we gonna just very quick? Are we going to continue our post-game discussions, breakdowns, and stuff?
Yeah, I would love to. We'll try and keep making that work. So people seem to like them. So
yeah, there you go. So that's how we'll do it. We'll have we're going to talk right through the game together as always.
Yeah, you could join our Discord, and we could just talk right all through the game with and have people join in and ask questions on the whole thing.
That would be that would be interesting. I'd have to move my computer to the living room, and that humongous TV.
You could do it on your phone.
I could do it on my phone. You know what?
Yeah. It's not rated. It's not rated PG. So
yeah, that's the other thing. Certainly not a family affair.
That's okay. It's Discord. It's the Discord server is there is a warning.
Yeah. So there you go. We'll think about that. Maybe
it might be
put
fun.
It out there for folks.
Yeah, we can do that.
There's nothing else to say except go Canes.
Go Canes.
Thank you everyone for tuning in. Ray and I greatly appreciate your support in helping us produce an informative and fun podcast. As always, we'd like to say that we believe hockey is for everyone. Whether you're a Caniac or a bunch of jerks, doesn't matter, as we're just a couple of jerks anyway. We would love to hear your questions, comments, and suggestions. We will do our best to answer anything hockey related. You can reach us via email at stormcellar97@gmail.com. On Twitter, we are at stormcellar97, and on Facebook at facebook.com/stormcellar97.